I'm here to give you the Caesar salad recipe that you guys had called in about and wanted. So I'm going to do the croutons separately. For right now, it's just the dressing. So go ahead and see what I'm working with right here. We're going to go ahead and start the dressing, and I'm going to take 1 clove of garlic. Now, if you have one of these microplanes, it's nice to go ahead and do that. But if you don't, what I'm going to show you is that it doesn't matter. You're going to go ahead and just mash it with your knife and go through it. What's going to really help is to put a little bit of salt on it. So just throw a little bit of kosher salt, which is a coarser salt, and just kind of scrape it like this. You see how it's almost like liquid now? Run your knife through it a few more times. Okay, that's nice. Okay, you see how it's nice and juicy. If you have an old piece of garlic, it won't do that. And you really need to start with some good garlic. You're going to go ahead and stick that into the bowl. So we'll go ahead and stick that bowl to the side. And these are anchovies. These were in a can, but I go through a lot of anchovies. You want to get the oil-packed ones. They should be near the tuna. So here's one small guy, and then let's, if they're 2 small ones, get at least 1 more good size one. So that's 3. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put that back together. See these? You're going to do the same thing. Just kind of run your knife through it. And you're going to want to make this into like a paste, because this is going to make up the majority of your salt. Now, your dressing. These are really salty, so just remember that. You won't need to really add much more salt later on until after you taste it, but these are pretty salty. So that looks pretty good. We're going to go ahead and stick it right in there. Now that's together. So this is going to make up the majority of your dry part. You can throw in, and this is just me, I'm going to throw in a little bit more than a pinch of black pepper. I like dry mustard, so this is dry, regular English mustard. If you have some Dijon, you can use the wet. It's going to change your consistency just a little. And I'm going to throw in probably, I'd say 1/4 teaspoon maybe. All right, so that's there. What you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and set that to the side. Now, the other part of your dressing is lemon and egg, okay? So, your egg, you always want a nice fresh egg. Go ahead and crack it, not on the side of the bowl because you don't want to get all the shells in there. I use the whole egg. You can just use the egg yolk. That's just fine. Just throw the white away if you really just want to do that, and it'll work out just fine. The next thing you're going to do is take your lemon. You're going to roll it just to get all those juices loose. There's going to be seeds in here. You know, if you can see some seeds, just kind of pick them out. I like to have my hand over it just to catch anything that falls. I like a nice lemony dressing, so I get as much of the lemon in there as possible. I use the whole thing. And if you have a pretty dry lemon, you might have to get a second lemon. You can see how much juice is coming out there. And that is a lot. And you can see I managed to always get a seed in there. Okay, so what we're going to do, take a whisk. You can use a fork. It doesn't really matter. And you're just going to whisk this guy up really quick. You might not be able to see this, but it's a very pale yellow, and it's really runny right now, okay? And that's what you want. You're just going to kind of let that sit there for a second. And you're going to go ahead and you're going to come back to this while this is sitting there. You see this, all this stuff that we have in here? You want to mash it until it's kind of a little ball. It's just going to be your little ball of seasoning. Okay? You have a little fork. You're just mashing that up until it's this kind of paste. Now, for me, I know that it's going to need a little bit more salt, so I'm just going to throw a little pinch of that salt in there. And what we're going to do, we're going to take this, the egg and the lemon, we're going to pour that right in to the bowl. Okay, so you're going to take your whisk and you're going to get all the little pieces that are stuck to the side of the bowl. This is it, okay? So that's what it looks like right now. The last part of really making this is with the olive oil, okay? So it takes some practice, but what you're going to want to do is, you see I'm streaming just a little bit in at a time. You're going to, a little bit at a time, and keep the whisk moving the whole time. And whisk, and whisk. Take a little break here and there from pouring. You're going to whisk some more. And this takes some practice. You're going to end up using about a half a cup of oil. Half a cup of good olive oil. The olive oil that you want to use, you don't want to use light olive oil. Don't use light. You want something from the store that looks bright green, not the bottle green, but the actual oil itself is green. You want plain old extra virgin olive oil. Don't use the light stuff. Okay, so you can see that it's starting to get a little thicker. And what that is, it's the oil emulsifying this dressing. And you can see that the actual dressing is taking on a little bit of a greenish color, and that's just from the olive oil. Your arm gets kind of tired after a while. And some people, you can do this in the blender. You can do this in the food processor if you want. But you can see that it's much thicker, okay? And, you know, now that I'm looking at this, I'm thinking it's probably closer to a cup of olive oil, okay? A cup of olive oil. This part is done, all right? That is your dressing. You're gonna want to just taste it. For me, that's perfect. I don't need any more salt. It's lemony, it has the garlic taste. Go ahead and stick that into a coffee cup or a little bowl, stick it in the fridge, and you can basically do the rest of what you're gonna do with the salad. So, to put the salad together, you would get a fresh bowl. What I have is romaine lettuce that I've cleaned. Now you see a head this size. This is kind of average. I would do 1.5 of these or one larger head. This is one larger head right here. I cleaned it and you can see that it's dry. Okay, you want your lettuce dry and you want it cold. And also what I did is I took some Parmesan cheese and I grated it up. This is about a cup. Now you're probably not going to use all of this. You're probably going to want maybe between 1/2 and 3/4 of a cup of the cheese. So what I do is I throw the cheese onto the lettuce in the bowl that you're going to serve it in. I go ahead and I will toss it with the dressing. Do not throw all of the dressing on. Usually this makes dressing for more than one salad. It's just kind of how it works out. Do it to taste. You don't want it so soaked that it's all limp and everything. You just want to coat the outside of the lettuce. The other part in the next video that I'm going to post is how to make the croutons. I just took a loaf of like any kind of white country style bread, like a nice Italian loaf, something that's not too soft, and you want it to be dried out after a day or two. and I cut it up into these little squares. Now the next video I'll show you how to make the croutons. The croutons are really part of the thing that make this salad how you guys like it. So that's it for this video. I showed you how to make the dressing. That dressing should go in the fridge. The cheese is all grated, the lettuce is clean, and the last thing that you're going to see is the croutons, and all it needs is everything to be put together. All right.